Nancy. Hey, Nancy in Oak Lawn, Illinois. What's up?
Hi, Tom. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you, Nancy?
I'm fine, thanks. I wanted to thank you, because I've been saying this all along from the first day I heard, Bernie doesn't have a chance and this and that. For I don't know how many years, I couldn't remember when I voted enthusiastically, as you said, except for the first time, and I stress the first time, for Barack Obama, and then, like you said, back when Jimmy Carter was the president.
Yeah.
But that's what's going to happen. And I know all about those circling the wagons and blah, 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 and all that.
Yeah.
But, I'm tired of the Hillary whining, too. But anyway, that's how I feel. I think if Bernie doesn't win, then I will vote for Hillary, but I will not be enthusiastic about it. And I will not, because I think, and I'm willing to bet, that if she does get into office, she will just be an extension of Bill Clinton, and she'll be Republican like Obama. But the other thing I wanted to say was, you were saying about the press not wanting to go down, abuse the Republicans because they won't come back on the show.
Right.
How much you want to bet if they would have, right from the get-go, just asked them the hard questions and asked them about everything and not been careful, and then they didn't come back and they would have put all the Democrats on there, how much you want to bet they would have all of a sudden been coming back and going on that show?
Oh, you are so absolutely right, Nancy. Thank you for setting up a rant for me, and thank you for the call. There is a program in the UK called Hard Talk, and if you've never seen this show, it is so worth. I don't know if it's floating around on YouTube or how you can find it. But we used to watch it when we lived in Germany, but I know it's still on the air. It's an institution. It's a BBC institution. It's been around forever. And they get on people, and the host just grills them. I mean, just eats them alive. And people still go on the program. The Prime Minister in the United Kingdom, but sometime, cue up C-SPAN. I think C-SPAN carries this. It's called Prime Minister's Questions. If you've never seen, I believe it's once a week. I could be wrong. Victoria Jones would know, but I'm pretty sure it's once a week. The Prime Minister goes before Parliament, before the House of Commons, the lower house, and stands in the well and answers questions. And sometimes the questions are very hostile. Sometimes they're confrontational. Sometimes they're all-out fights. Most Americans discovered this back in 2002, 2003, when Tony Blair was going before Parliament and asking for permission to engage in war with George W. Bush. And you had people like George Galloway saying, hell no, and just ripping him a new one. And the media in this country has gotten so timid and so frightened of politicians in both parties that they are unwilling and afraid to ask the tough questions. And that is absolutely pervasive. It is absolutely pervasive. In one of my books, and I'm trying to remember which book I wrote this in, I think it might be Rebooting the American Dream. I talked about that experience that I had. We share offices, and have historically have shared offices with Ellen Ratner's organization, which is, a DC-based news organization that provides news to talk radio shows and things. And we don't do business with them. We just, we've split office space. And one time, this was about 3-4 years ago, Ellen had an intern program running. She doesn't right now, but she had this intern program running. And there were a bunch of young interns from the University of Arizona, as I recall, or maybe it was the University of New Mexico, who were journalism school, J-school interns. These were kids who were second, third year, fourth year journalism majors. And they were doing a little television program, in front of a green screen, with the Capitol and all that kind of stuff. And, in the next room, and it was after I got off the air, and I was just watching what they were saying, and they were talking about how, you have to be nice to these politicians because they won't come back on the program if you don't. So how do you construct a question that's not going to so offend them, and how do you avoid the follow-up questions that'll prevent them from coming back on your show? And I went in and I said, you guys don't know what journalism is. But this is apparently what they're teaching in journalism schools now. And if it's not what they're teaching explicitly from the lectern, it's certainly the message that they're getting by watching our media. And and I am convinced, having been a news reporter, a radio reporter for 7 years, and having been a pundit here for 13 years, and having written a whole lot in between, that if our media, right across the board, if everybody just said, we're going to go back to Walter Cronkite-style journalism, we're going to start asking the tough questions. It used to be a joke back in the 70s that, literally, it was, I don't know if you can still Google this because this was before the internet was invented, but one of the big jokes going around in business circles was, it's going to be a bad day when you come to work and there's a 60 Minutes truck out in front of your place of work, out in front of your place of business. Why do you know it's going to be a bad day? Because 60 Minutes used to do investigative journalism. They used to do hardball stuff. They took companies down. They took executives down. They took politicians down. That has not happened since basically 1996. 1996, when the Telecommunications Act of 1996 was passed, leading to this explosion of media consolidation, suddenly it all became about making the money rather than doing the public service, and I am convinced that if all of our media said, screw this, we're going to start asking tough questions of everybody all the time. So just get, and we have, plan B. We've got some documentaries we'll play or something, or, we've got some good reporters. We'll interview each other, which they do half the time anyway. And if the politicians say, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. But in Europe, and I can tell you this, having lived in Europe and having watched the European media landscape, politicians expect to be grilled when they talk to reporters. In the United States, politicians get offended by reporters and they block them. If you never want to be invited back to a White House press conference, there's certain questions you could ask. You will never be invited back, or at least you'll never be called on. If you don't want to be, this is, we have reached a point in this country with our media that the media has gotten flabby and lazy and have turned into lapdogs, which accounts, in my opinion, for the Donald Trump phenomena. And they've done it in the name of corporate profits. The media in America is more profitable than it has ever been before. Same is true of banks. Same is true of pharmaceuticals. I did this story from The Economist a couple of days ago about how, American business is more profitable than it's ever been. Right across the board, pretty much every industry. Airlines. Price of fuel has been cut, to a quarter of what it used to be. Airlines last year made some 20 some odd $billion. Some amazing amount of money, more than they've ever made before. Did your ticket price go down? No. Why not? Because it's a monopoly. Is that being reported by the press? No, of course not. You have to go to a British magazine, The Economist. Why doesn't the press report that? Because the press is doing the same thing. It's time to roll out the Sherman Act. It's time to take this on. And it's time for people in the press to say, we are going to ask hard questions. We're tired of being lapdogs. We're tired of sucking up to these politicians. There's some rotten stuff going on in American politics. And if it took the Donald Trump candidacy to wake them up, so be it.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.